I'm gonna go with the powerhouse.
I do love that show, but I disagree. Are you more cosmic? Or are you more street level?
Original geek, that's who I am. Rolling 20s with my squad, we got a plan. Marvel heroes on the wall, D&D dice in hand. Original geek, across the land. Level up, never gonna give it up.
All right, welcome to Original Geek. This is the all fandom podcast where we dig into sci-fi, fantasy, comics, and every pop culture obsession that built the multiverse we live in today. So whether you're Gen X, Millennial, or just geek curious, welcome to the basement. Hi, I'm Steve Scarfo.
And I'm Jeff Shaw, and today will be your trademark red sunglasses for today's cool, confident walk onto the set as we delve into the Marvel TV universe, just live action.
Yes, so we're going to the MTU. So that doesn't sound as good as MCU, but that's what we're talking.
And focused on the live action. So if you're listening in, you're thinking we missed the animated content, that's not today's topic.
We're not talking What If. We're not talking X-Men 97. Just live action. We went from here to Marvel Cinema, down to TV, just to live action.
And not that animated Spider-Man we all loved in the 70s. With that cool theme song.
Huh? Spider-Man. Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Yeah, this is, we talked a lot about this one. This is a hard topic to narrow down. There's so much in the MCU. Marvel has been a huge part, as you can see, and behind me, and behind Jeff too. We have comic book stuff, we like comic books, but when you talk Marvel, there's too much to try to push it all into one little episode. So we'll be doing other episodes. But one thing I do want to point out before we dive into Marvel, Jeff, is we both have them. Look at this.
Whoa.
This was, it says at the bottom there,
Dungeons and Dystopia.
This is our Original Geek exclusive Bunker Geek t-shirt. This was to go along with our theme from the Fallout episode a couple episodes ago. So if you haven't heard that, go back and listen. It's a great episode. But this is what we do. Every once in a while, we throw a t-shirt design up that goes along with the episode. And this is the one. You can see it's got, it's, I guess, really our dystopian. I keep going away from the mic like you guys can hear me. But it's got the wasteland adventurer with a sword. There's robots. There is a destroyed city behind with an alien ship, and
we got our 20-sided die on there. So
got our 20-sider on there, and it's the bottom banner says Dungeons and Dystopia, as Jeff just said. So if you're not watching, you're listening, go to originalgeekpodcast.com. Check out all the merch.
Get the merch, OGs. Come on.
This is the one we liked. Obviously, we both bought it. But today we're talking Marvel Television Universe, and we will later on in the episode do a random review for Wonder Man specifically. And I say later on, it's going to be in a couple of segments. But this again, there's a lot of stuff to cover. So
yeah, and I know we'll delve deeper in the evolution, but live action started out a little rocky in some ways. However, I will say, and this is not part of my flashback, I have a different flashback share, but but one thing that was successful right off the bat was that Incredible Hulk TV show.
Yeah, that's one of the first. So I did do a little looking to see what the list was, and I 9 times out of 10 my research somehow comes up short. So maybe you had something different. I had 3 things on the list. 2 before that were both animated shows. There was Marvel Superheroes in 66, 67 to 70 was the one you were just talking about, the old Spider-Man with that wonderful theme song. And then then in 77 was that Incredible Hulk. Is that the first one you found? Because that's the first one I found for live action. No, look at you.
My flashback. I don't want to delve into that, though. That's going to be for the flashback.
Just give us the year. What was the year
74.
of the first one? 74. Okay. So, listen, if you have to stick around to listen to what was the 1974 live action.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, the Hulk was 5, that lasted 5 seasons. That's a successful show. So, right? It was 77 to 82.
Oh, see, again, my research is lacking because I have it as 77 to 79, only 2 years.
Was it? Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that includes the some of those. They made some made-for-TV movies.
Well, so in 77, there was also The Amazing Spider-Man, which I kind of remember as a kid.
5 seasons. It was 5 seasons.
Yeah.
Yep.
So once again, my research is incomplete. So if you guys have been listening going, Scarfo, get your shit together. You're not wrong. I looked it up, but I apparently got the wrong list.
And there was only one movie. It was when he went on trial, and it was in 1988, and I think Thor.
Yes, I remember the Thor episode. Was that an episode? But that was a TV movie. That wasn't part of the show, though. It was still Lou Ferrigno.
So there was 3 movies. There was The Incredible Hulk Returns, and that had Thor. The Trial of the Incredible Hulk had Daredevil, and then The Death of the Incredible Hulk had no other cameos. But it was 88, 89, and 90 for those movie one-offs. I guess Bill Bixby was just tired of like, I'm done. The death of the Incredible Hulk. He's gone.
I'm done. I don't need to look anymore. Yeah, so obviously I got some stuff wrong with the timing and the dates there. But in terms of I guess TV movies weren't on my list. I specifically asked for TV shows. So I missed all 3 of those movies in terms of my list. But I guess the point I was really going for is it's been since the mid-70s, which is perfect for us. And I was born in 69, so I was probably 8 when The Incredible Hulk came on TV. And I just remember sitting on the floor in the living room. We have, in the 70s, you had one TV, not like today where you can watch content on your phone while you're driving. Don't do that, but you can. But, we got in on whatever it was a primetime show. And I just remember just loving seeing this character. And of course, it was the 70s. There was also no CGI, so it was all practical. It was Lou Ferrigno, who was huge, still is, I suppose.
Yeah.
As a person, just physically big.
Yeah, and then we enjoyed that, and then it wasn't for me. And I know that there have been other shows, but for me, the next TV show that was Marvel that I really liked and got into was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That was the next.
Now that's a big jump.
Oh, it's huge. It's from 82 was the last Incredible Hulk TV show episode. And then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was 2013. So, what?
Now, I will say there was. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was what, 2013? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you just said? Okay.
Yeah.
So I do have that one right. So I'm looking at my list and I did not sort out the cartoons. I just said, give me everything. And I was thinking, there had to be something before that, but everything was animated. In the 80s, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. 82 to 83, there was more. I don't know if this was animation. It says it's under my cartoons, but there was an X-Men TV show, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man, Silver Surfer. There were lots of animation going on. Early 2000 reboots. I think these were TV shows, not TV shows, movies rather. Spider-Man, X-Men Evolution. Was that animated? I don't know. All right. So apparently, again, my listing has failed me.
So there were 2 other live action shows which I did not watch, and in fact didn't even know they existed. Was Blade the series in 2006. And
was that live action? So that's what I was just looking at when I stopped. I'm like, I saw it on my list because I have it, but I'm like, I don't remember a Blade TV show.
Yeah, it's live action. I'm seeing stills from it. And then Mutant X, which I also did not watch, but was also live action.
I have a list here for something called Wolverine and the X-Men in 2009.
I mean, but
no, that was animated series. Okay.
And I'm surprised I never saw any Mutant X because it was 3 seasons. So, but I never saw any of it.
Well, again, we've talked about this before. Mutant X TV series. Yeah. Holy shit.
So for
I
me,
don't even remember
there was that
seeing
30-year gap. for me for
Yes.
Marvel TV. And then since then, we've had a great, because like soon after Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came on, we got those Netflix shows that I thought were amazing. And I know like there's some other ones on Hulu and Freeform and Fox that were supposed to be good that I didn't watch. Runaways, Cloak and Dagger, Hellstrom, Legion. I heard Legion was really good, but I never watched it. In The Gifted, never watched it. So I don't know. Maybe they're good, but I never got into it. But the Netflix ones I thought were awesome.
Yeah, I will say that does. So the fact that there's so many live action shows that we are like, and again, I started by saying how big fans we are, and I'm not really showing my fandom because I'm like, wait, I don't even remember this. But again, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, it was promoted and there were some movies that hit the screens, right? But it wasn't taken super seriously. Like even, Lou Ferrigno's Hulk was probably taken seriously, but then it got sillier after that. I have seen Cloak and Dagger, which I actually thought was really cool. Those were characters I wasn't super familiar with, but it was played like one of those. We talked about this before with the dystopian stuff too. Dystopian. It had that teen angst to it, right? There's sort of he likes her, but their powers are tied, and so it came off very much like a CW version of a show. And so did Runaways was good, but same kind of thing. It's a bunch of teens, which I guess it's inherent in the characters, but I say all that just to say, we didn't get this prestige treatment of the TV shows. We didn't get this blasting on all cylinders. You can't turn on the internet today without seeing some sort of Marvel content pop up as an ad or as a preview.
Yeah.
We didn't get that.
But I already teased it, and I can't wait to flash back to my first live action superhero moment as a kid.
Let's do it.
Nice.
Let's take a trip through time. It's a Geek Flashback.
All right. So when I was a kid, loved Sesame Street. We talked about the Muppets last time. Well, that same PBS network that made the children's television network that made Sesame Street also made The Electric Company, another kid show. The Electric Company had Spider-Man in it, and Marvel let Electric Company, because it was a nonprofit, use Spider-Man for free. Spider-Man was included in there to get kids to read, because these little Spider-Man stories they put in there, Spider-Man never said anything out loud. It was always a cartoon speech bubble. Other characters spoke out loud. But if you want to know what your hero Spidey said, you had to read it. And so it kind of got kids reading. And so he would make, I don't know, 14, 15, maybe more appearances on the Electric Company. You can see them on YouTube if you're interested, because I went and watched some of them before this episode just to refresh. And I had forgotten that Morgan Freeman was on the Electric Company.
Yeah,
so
that's how he started.
He is the narrator for a lot of these Spider-Man shorts, and also sometimes the villain, sometimes the supporting character. So go ahead, watch those Electric Company Spider-Man shorts on YouTube and see a young Morgan Freeman as part of that. It was pretty good.
I'll tell you, it's funny. I forgot about that because he, and I don't know if you said this, so I apologize if I'm just saying it over, but Spider-Man wasn't animated. It was a guy in a suit.
Yeah.
So it was live action. All
Yes.
the people were live, but to your point, they would hold a word bubble over him, or they'd superimpose it later.
Yeah, it
But
was, they did put it in later. Yeah.
like a graphic. But
Like I think he was in front of a green screen for those. And then they put it on the green screen. Yeah.
But yeah, I'd forgotten about that. And Spider-Man's one of my favorites. So it's funny, that wasn't my flashback. We've already talked about my flashback a little bit, and mine, and I started to say it before, but it was watching The Incredible Hulk. It became a family event, which is funny because I never thought of the rest of my family as sort of geeky like me, and they're not. But they really enjoyed it. I think because, at the time there weren't a lot of these kind of shows. So this idea of truly a rage monster coming out of somebody and helping people be good and help, he starts because he learns of, at least in this version, I'm sure there's different versions of this, but what I remember from the origin of the TV show is he found that a woman who was trying to save her baby was able to lift a car off of her because she got this strength, and he tied it to gamma radiation, and everybody knows Hulk is gamma. But he then douses himself, and then in a moment of rage, because he can't get his tire fixed in the rain, which was a very cinematic opening for that show, he would Hulk out, and that's how it starts.
Yeah, you wouldn't like him when he's angry.
You wouldn't like me. And then he did have that one guy. And I'll tell you, I forget the guy who played the reporter, but God, I wanted to punch him in the face as a kid. He just had that face where you're like, ah, you know what I mean?
Well, and I think it worked because, and it worked for so long because, and we're going to talk about this a little bit in our Geek Court, is that it was more grounded, more street level. Even though the Hulk is in our, the Avengers movies, is this incredibly powerful, super powerful being. In the TV show, he's really strong, but they kept it more like, there was an old TV show called Kung Fu, where this guy who knew Kung Fu would travel from town to town and solve people's problems with his Kung Fu.
And that was like a Western almost too.
Yeah. And this was more that same concept where Bill Bixby's, it wasn't Bruce Banner though, was it? It was, his was a different, like David Banner or something. I think it was David Banner.
He was David Bruce Banner.
Oh, okay. So
he for some reason, Bruce was his
he would
name.
like try to find a new home, try to like get away from it all, and then something would trigger the Hulk. And he'd solve that problem, but then he'd have to move along. And so it was that same kind of drifter, gets into town, trying to mind his own business, gets drawn into and it worked. Season, like everyone was like into it, and it worked because it was more like street level issues. It was not, Magneto or the Red Skull.
Yeah,
or
there's no Silver
Dr.
Surfer
Doom,
popping up.
Or this isn't cosmic level, planet level destruction. It was just an issue that was happening in a town to some people.
Yeah, and that's why, you just did most of my flashback, but that's okay. But that's really what I loved about it, because it was this traveler story. He was a guy who was just, he didn't want to be a superhero. In fact, he wasn't even considered a superhero. He was always considered the monster. The creature would come out. It was him is trying to, every move, every episode was a try to escape. It wasn't, leaning into being the Hulk. And I think Ruffalo does a great job in the least the most recent iterations in the movies. He at first is very reluctant to be the Hulk. He is when we meet him. There's no origin. He just exists as the Hulk. But even then we find him trying to avoid. So that was one of the things I like about that character, and specifically that show, because I remember just the anticipation from episode to episode, waiting for it to come back. Was awesome. But now we want to talk a little bit about what's just happened. This is going from all the way back to what's going on now. We're gonna flash forward. We're gonna drop into a random review.
Nice.
It's time for a random review.
Welcome to this original Geek Random Review. We set the topic, the dice sets the directions. We know what we're reviewing, we just don't know how.
All right. I rolled first for you last time, Steve, so roll for me.
Well, hold on. We got to tell the people. Yeah, we got to tell people what we're doing.
All right.
You always jump into the rolling.
I'm ready.
Jeff's always looking to make me look bad here. It's okay. We are going to review Wonder Man from just recently released, because we're in February. It was January, from Disney Plus.
Yeah, we were surprised they released all the episodes all at once. I actually thought it would be a weekly rollout like most of the Disney Plus Marvel shows have been.
Yeah, and I think most, not just Disney, most streaming has been. Netflix is the only one I know that does still consistently drop them all at once. Everybody makes you wait.
Yeah, sometimes
so this was a very pleasant surprise.
The first two, right? And then
2 or 3, yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because I didn't realize they had dropped them all. I think I told you this when I first watched it.
Right.
I was like, oh, this is cool. Literally was like, oh, watch whatever they dropped, the first 2 or 3. And I was like, I got through 2 and it said next episode. And I'm like, oh, cool, they dropped 3. And then I got to the end of that one and it's like, next episode. And I'm like, oh, what's going on here? And there's only 8.
Yeah.
So it was really cool, but they are short. They're 35, 40 minutes tops.
Yeah.
So you can burn through. In fact, you could go through the entire season in the length of one Infinity War movie. I think maybe 1.5. All right. You said you wanted to roll first, so I'm going to let you roll first.
No, I rolled first last time. I watched you.
Oh, I get to roll first. Okay. All right. Once again, 20-sided dice, and we are going to decide. You will see it pop up on screen what the list is, and let's find out what Jeff has to review. Ooh, I got an 18, Jeff. Successful charisma check. The meta cameos. Real life actors playing themselves. This was considered the show's biggest fun factor.
Yeah. So I know there were a number of real life actors playing themselves in this one. And I have to admit that my top two though were Josh Gad and Joey Pants, Joe Pantalone. And, because I'm going to assume they weren't really like these characters that they were playing. So Josh Gad is like playing himself and is an obnoxious superstar. And he plays this obnoxious version of himself where he's actually like in a club singing his Olaf songs as a rap, and how cool is he? And then so it's great. And then and Joey Pants is Ben Kingsley's character, Trevor Slattery. Awesome role for him and Ben Kingsley. He plays it so well. He's trying to get a favor from Joey Pants, and Joey Pants uses it as an opportunity to kind of shit on Trevor Slattery in a kind of an offhand way, like, "Oh, isn't it great that you don't have to worry about callbacks and auditioning and all that jazz? You get to just be, kind of homeless and destitute, and isn't that really wonderful for you?"
Well, and he even goes so far as to say, "I don't have to do auditions. I'm offer only."
Yeah, offer only. Yeah. And yeah, so great. And then in the end, taking over in the Wonder Man TV show as the character that Trevor Slattery was supposed to perform in when he gets sent back to jail. So it's just, so yeah, I thought the cameos were great. I do consider that a successful charisma check for this episode. Check it out. It's a fun series. And yeah, so do you have anything about that or any of those other cameos?
Yeah, no. I'll just echo. I think I love Joe Pantoliano and everything, so I agree. But my favorite on this was Josh Gad, because it's so, not that I think Joe Pantoliano is I can never say his name right, even though I'm Italian. He I'm sure he's not.
Say Joey Pants. That's what he is.
Joey Pants. Hey, it's Joey Pants. You know what I'm talking about? I don't think he's the dickhead that he appears to be in Wonder Man. I don't think he's like that. But Josh Gad is so far removed from his character in Wonder Man as him. I love the fact that, and we don't know if he's where he is, because he went into the guy and never came out. The Doorman. Who's a character, by the way, I had never heard of. So I thought it was a fun way to play with him as a real actor, as a real person. They gave it a whole episode. Where he, it's Josh Gad and the Doorman, and he disappears at the end of it. And yeah. So I thought my favorite was the Josh Gad one. All right. What do you got for me?
All right. Ooh, it's a 2. Failed fortitude check. The pacing of the audition arc. The first 3 episodes focused on the acting hustle. It was a slow burn that nearly extinguished. While the satire is sharp, the show took far too long to show Simon using his powers. The struggling actor trope felt repetitive by episode 3. Your thoughts?
So I have many. I agree, but to me it wasn't that bad. In fact, there was a part of me for the first 2 episodes that wondered, is he really a superhero? Does he really have powers? Because they never really talk. Like, they allude to his issues, but they make it seem like it's his anger. He's definitely difficult to work with on set. In the very first episode, you see it right out of the gate. So, it looked like to be like a meta, story. Like I love some of those meta Hollywood stories. The Studio on Apple TV is like that. It's very much a meta, it's people playing people who are Hollywood people.
It's funny. That's exactly what I thought. I thought, the Studio worked. It had great viewership, had great, but this reminded me of that. Like, this seems like, and are people going to get into it that aren't into acting or Hollywood or those background stories? But
well, and I also have the I don't know if you want to call it fortune or misfortune. I've been and I'm not certainly going to call myself a struggling actor. I dabble and I have fun when we have opportunities. You and I have done a bunch of stuff together on stage. We've filmed a few things. I have been an extra in a ton of movies, and I've auditioned for a ton of day player type parts. So I've auditioned for movies, TV shows, commercials, and I've hardly booked a thing, right? But this isn't my life. I don't put into it what this character put into it. So for me, those first 3 episodes weren't as difficult to listen to and watch, because to me it was sort of like, oh, I've been there. I've sat in that room. I've been in that hallway with the 30 other people who are doing exactly what you're doing. So I agree. I think maybe they stretched it too far, but I didn't personally, it didn't hurt me in terms of show watching. I think that might be one of the reasons why they dropped everything, because
that's funny. I thought the same thing.
Yeah. Why else drop the whole thing? Because it's 8 episodes, and it's not until episode 4 where you really start to see, crap, he really is a superhero, or he's really got powers. Superhero is another thing, right? He has powers, but you don't see it till episode 4, maybe late in 3, but it's literally, it might be at the end of 3, and then they cut into 4 because he blows the hole in the wall in his apartment. And you go, oh, wait, there is something here.
I thought the same thing. I think this is why they dropped the whole thing, because if they they did the slow drip, then that slow burn, you might lose folks. And this actually worked out, because the ratings are strong, the viewership is strong for this show. So it did work. But it is a gamble. Like, you have a superhero show with those superheroes' powers clearly, being a major part of it for the first 3 episodes. That's amazing.
But it talks about, we've talked about this in the last few episodes, specifically just in the last episode about A Night of 7 Kingdoms, that lower level story. And we're going to talk about it in Geek Court too. That street level in this case. And this one might be a weird hybrid because his powers seem a lot more than street level. He's not Daredevil with heightened senses. He's not, he's not, what's her name? Kate Bishop, who's just really good with the bow, or Hawkeye, who even Hawkeye ends up in the MCU, really is more of a street level guy. But this whole idea that it's a smaller show, it's just him, it does go into his real life, his personality. We meet his family. It is a real basic setup. Now I'm guessing they're gonna make this wasn't just for fun to show Wonder Man and poke fun at Hollywood a little bit. He must be coming back, right? But in a much bigger way. And the end of the season, I won't spoil it if you haven't watched it, but at the end of the season, he becomes a lot more than that. And so it's pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. And for those of you who may not be aware, in the comic books, he's one of the founding members of the West Coast Avengers. And so one thing that I do wonder is if part of this origin story here is to set that up, because, we've got some different forms of Avengers with the Thunderbolts and, of course, the original Avengers. So I just wonder, I've heard rumors of the young Avengers, like with, you mentioned Kate Bishop, the Hawkeye heir, and then Black Widow's
Yelena Belova.
Yeah, like they're laying some groundwork here of something. It's hard to say. It takes a while though, because that Werewolf by Night, like one episode, that one shot, Yeah, that's got to go someplace, right? Like, because the man thing is like shown in that, and a werewolf, and so
It's funny because I do remember that one too, and I was wondering. I don't want to go too far off our random review
Okay.
before we wrap it up because we do package these things separate. So, listen, take a look at our list. If you liked it, tell us what you liked. If you didn't, tell us which one you wanted us to talk about. If you're not watching and just listening, go take a look at the video. Usually somewhere around the 2 or 3 minute mark, we'll throw up the list if you want to just see what the list that we had to choose from was. But we do appreciate you guys. So originalgeekpodcast.com, like, follow, subscribe, all those numbers help. Send us some comments, and let's get this thing rolling even more so we can talk to you guys all the time.
yeah.
But now we're going to drop into some Geek Court.
The fandom is divided. It's time for Geek Court.
Today on Geek Court, we were just talking about it, and our discussion is street level Marvel better than cosmic level Marvel?
TV
On
shows.
TV. On TV. Exactly. So, I am going to say, I think it fits better. I think I say yes. I'm saying we didn't talk about this ahead of time, so I'm just taking the affirmative. I want to give you the antithesis here. So, yeah, I think Marvel level TV shows, street level TV shows for Marvel, the TV shows specifically work best with these street level characters. Echo was a great show. She-Hulk, even though she's more of the kind of cosmic level, she's the new version of the Hulk, if you will. So that whole story, I like that it gives them time. It was our reintroduction to Charlie Cox as Daredevil. Although, no, he made a small appearance in the Spider-Man Far From Home. He was the lawyer. He played himself as a lawyer. Not as Daredevil, but as the lawyer. I loved the Hawkeye show. And in fact, we were talking the Young Avengers. I want to say it was at the end of the Hawkeye TV show. It might have been at the end of Black Widow. But Yelena Belova walks into a room and Kate Bishop is waiting for her. And they actually have this conversation about starting a Young Avengers group. I don't think they call it that, but they talk about it. So I think it does a lot of work for building on the storylines of the cosmic MCU. But yeah, I will say Secret Wars or Secret Invasion was a little bit of a problematic one for me, but the rest of them I think have worked.
Well, Secret Invasion would fall under cosmic level, not street level. And I'm not going to use that one.
So there you
'cause
go. I don't need it.
That's actually proving the wrong point. Secret Invasion was not critically viewed favorably, nor was the viewership. It had a huge drop off in the viewership. So I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to go with the powerhouse cosmic level Loki seasons 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Love those shows. I mean, he, Tom Hiddleston, and which Owen brother is it?
Wilson. Oh, it's
Owen
Owen
Wilson. Yeah,
Not
that's
Luke
right.
Wilson.
Not which Owen.
Which
brother.
Owen brother?
Which Wilson. So Owen Wilson, like they're so good in Loki. So it doesn't surprise me how well that did. And then I think a lot of that whole multiverse concept doesn't make as much sense if you just watch the movies and you don't watch Loki. And certainly with when they bring Deadpool and Wolverine together, if you didn't watch Loki, that didn't make as much sense. So it was kind of required viewing to understand the movies. And I think and that's going to keep going forward with this next phase. And then WandaVision was amazing. That and of course the Vision and Scarlet Witch have cosmic level powers, and then the implication of what happens in that feeds into Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness movie, which I'm actually going to talk about as an epic fail transition. But I still think that the TV show WandaVision was amazing. So for me, some of my favorite episodes are those cosmic level TV shows from Disney Plus, and I'm glad they lean into those. So for me, my vote is on cosmic level for the Disney Plus shows.
Yeah, I can't say I don't love the Loki TV show. I do think it's more of an anomaly because I'm going to go right back to Secret Invasion. So some of these cosmic level TV shows feel out of place. But the Loki, I've watched both seasons of Loki twice. I agree with you 100% on the Loki, specifically the Loki stuff. I like it all, let's be honest. But in this particular structure, I do love that show, but I disagree. So what do you guys think? Do you like the grittier street level, the Daredevils and the Iron Fist and the Luke Cages and Jessica Jones? They're all coming back in the Marvel universe. So we were all so mad when they left Netflix, and thankfully Marvel has been smart enough to keep them in. And for the most part, with the with the actors we liked, bringing Charlie Cox back, a huge hit in my mind. And Kristen Ritter coming back as Jessica Jones. I've seen some previews with her. I don't know about the kid who played Iron Fist or Luke Cage, to be honest with you, but I'm excited to see these characters crawl forward. But do you love those, or are you a WandaVision, Loki side of this? I don't think you don't have to love one and hate the other, but which side do you follow? Are you more cosmic, or are you more street level? Let us know. Send us a note. Yeah. But we're going to dip into our basement and talk about some stuff.
Dust it off and geek it out, because it's a basement treasure.
They're digging in the wrong place.
All right. And I actually did dig this out of my basement. I'm holding here the sensational She-Hulk #1 comic book, for those who are just listening. And She-Hulk is breaking the fourth wall. She's talking directly to the reader right here on the cover, and she's holding up her original Savage She-Hulk comic book here. So it's very meta, as if she knows she's in a comic book, and she's saying, this is your second chance at a She-Hulk comic book. And so a big part of why I bought this was actually not the character She-Hulk, which I thought initially that's kind of a dumb name. Like, come on. But it was because John Byrne is the writer and artist. And I, back in the 80s, bought everything he did because I thought I loved his style and his writing. But in this case, I didn't, when it came to Sensational She-Hulk, when John Byrne wasn't writing and drawing, I wasn't buying, because as much as I did enjoy his writing, She-Hulk wasn't one of my #1 characters, but his breaking of the fourth wall, because I know, and I love that they kept that in the TV show. So it's more like the John Byrne She-Hulk. Love that version of She-Hulk. And it's not that she's a bad character, just we had a lot of comics we were buying and we had limited funds. But if it was John Byrne, I was doing it. So I have a stack of She-Hulk comics, all the John Byrne ones, all the way up through number 43. Apparently sales were lowering, and he's showing her ripping off her shirt and showing lingerie. And okay, I'll admit it, this cover has nothing to do with the story this month, but I've got to do something to sell this book. So this was clearly, because I know some people for the She-Hulk TV show were like, oh, she broke the fourth wall, that's ripping off Deadpool. No, Deadpool ripped off She-Hulk. And when she, made inappropriate adult comments about Captain America being a virgin, or she Hulk smashed Daredevil by sleeping with him, like smashing him. And then, people were like, oh my God, that's not for kids. Like, no, but it wasn't for kids here either. Like, it was teenagers and above. So.
Yeah, it's funny. I love the TV show for the reason you just stated, because it was different, and even the ending was like super meta.
Yes.
Which, and I mentioned already, they brought Daredevil back with She-Hulk. I love all of that. It's funny, I have Basement Treasures. I didn't think to actually dig it out. I know exactly where it is too. So I have mine also, comic books. Those are the only things I've managed to hang on to most of. I will say this, your love of, I forget the artist name already. John Byrne, Todd McFarlane for me.
Yeah.
Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man, his number one Spider-Man, and I think he went for the first 20 or 30. I don't remember how many he did, but I loved the way he showed, and it's something that we don't talk about a lot, but the artistry of comic books started super simple in the 60s and 70s. Richie Rich, it looked like a cartoon, right? But as the time evolved, and I'm not a great artist, like timeline kind of guy. I couldn't tell you exactly when people showed up. But I know when we were kids and Todd McFarlane restarted Spider-Man with number one, the artistry in that book was phenomenal. The way he had these exaggerated figures, it wasn't out of proportion, but it just made everything made it more intense. The coloring was more intense. I don't know who his colorist was, but yeah, I feel the same way about Todd McFarlane. And then I had the first 50 of the solo Wolverine book back in the 80s, because Wolverine has always been like my favorite character.
Right.
So when they made the movie, I was over the moon. So I will say, as life happens, we were living in a townhouse in a little New Market, New Hampshire. There was this 100-year flood, and all my comics were in the basement. They were up in a box on a shelf, but the water came high enough that it ruined most of them. So I lost all of these books that I had. But for me, number one Wolverine, number one Todd McFarlane Spider-Man, those would be my basement treasures. Those were amazing. I have one of them upstairs.
And Wolverine's a great example of where that was the opposite. It didn't matter who the artist was, who the writer was. I love that character, so I bought everything with Wolverine in it. Whereas She-Hulk, great character, liked that character, but it was mostly like I was a little picky.
But like you said, we were kids, we were teenagers, 13, 14, 15. Before we were working, we would get allowance. Even when we were working at 16, 17 years old, we were, working in restaurants in Wells, Maine, and we would make in maybe $100 a week if we were lucky.
Yeah, this got up to $1.50. And when we were started out with minimum wage, we were like, what, $4 an hour?
Not even. I remember going to Dexter Shoe Factory in Wells, Maine, because I was so excited that it was a $4 an hour. Like, I think I started at $3.15. I was working at McDonald's on Wells, Maine, in Wells, Maine on the beach. Not on the beach, but on Route 1. $3 an hour for, even at, so $3 an hour. One of these comic books after taxes was an hour's worth of work. And as a teenager, what are you working 15, 20 hours a week? So you might make $50-$60. You might get 40 of it after taxes, and you were paying for your own gas. So you might have had 20 or $30. And let's face it, we had to take $10 to the mall to go play cyberball. But, so yeah, we had, the economies of scale were not exactly even. We didn't have a ton of cash, but, we've talked a little bit about it. Let's look a little deeper into the evolution here, where things started and where we're at.
From floppy disks to streaming clicks, it's Geek Evolution.
Yeah, it's funny. What really struck me in the very first live action Spider-Man, which is in the Electric Company, this fan of Spider-Man is reading a copy of the comic book on the bench, and he is saying, and the next thing he looks, he's talking to Morgan Freeman's character, and he puts his comic book down, and then Spider-Man, the live action character, has picked it up and gone away with it. Like, where's my funny book? And I'm thinking this was kind of the approach that we had with a lot of our Marvel heroes early on. Is it was not the strongest start. Yes, Incredible Hulk was great. Yes, I was, as a kid, really into this version of Spider-Man. But what I love, and we kind of talked about it with, in the 80s with some of these artists, it started to become an art. And these Marvel characters, that art finally landed in 20 this is just my contention. When it comes to a TV show in 2013 with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then beyond, like for the past 13 years, we're in a golden age. I get to bring it back.
We get to bring it back.
Like it has, Marvel TV has evolved from it being a funny book with not taking that seriously and not giving the most due with special effects and things to really being, you know, these big properties, either the street level stuff with Netflix. I know I didn't say it in Geek Court, but I loved all those Netflix street level shows. The Punisher, Jessica Jones. Those were like, they were treated with a certain gravitas that just was not the approach that we had early days in Marvel with TV.
No, and that's often the split, right, between Netflix and Disney. And I think it happened when we weren't aware that was what was going on, because I remember we were all like digging the whole Defenders. You know, they had all 4 characters had their own seasons, several seasons, and then they brought them together for a season of the Defenders. Iron Fist to me is always sort of the goofiest of those. But it was, I think of it as sort of pre-Disney, post-Disney, because I will say, with the exception of those 5 Netflix shows, because I think those did an amazing job. But then Disney came in and started with things like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I think, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was that pre-Disney Plus, or was that part of Disney?
It was pre-Disney Plus. It was on ABC.
But it was a Disney production.
Yeah, because I think they own ABC.
They owned ABC, right? Yeah, so it wasn't Disney Plus, because the first one really was WandaVision on Disney Plus. But pre-Disney, all the Netflix stuff was great. And then I think they've sort of evolved it. But even with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before it was Disney Plus, one of the things I liked the most, and one of the biggest changes I saw, and I think they tried to do it on Netflix, and maybe they just didn't have the budget or what, but they wove those 4 stories together. They were all in New York. They were all connected. They knew each other in some way or another. They met, and then obviously Defenders, they're all together. There's sort of a mini Avengers trial run, if you will. But then when you get to the ABC, Disney owned these products. I remember, and I forget which Captain America it was. Robert Redford was the main bad guy, and one of the hovercrafts crashes into the building at the end. I don't remember if that was Civil War. Yeah. So Captain America they end up fighting in the air, and he crashes. Then I remember watching an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. the following week or a week to, like, I think it was within a week of seeing that movie. And then on the TV in the background, you see a scene from the movie playing out as if it were a news report. And so they did this, they evolved quite literally, the interconnection. They started to weave this universe together, which of course they've been carrying on for the last 20 years. But I think maybe Netflix was like a trial run for them before Disney picked it up, or maybe Disney looked at it and went, "Ooh, we could do that with everything." I have no proof that these are connected events, but it's just what I like to feel. But I do love that they have gone from showing us cool characters and one-offs and kind of, cheesy effects, and even all the way back to the Electric Company. I do remember in the Spider-Man TV show, the first one, there was maybe it was an episode, but like somebody was pretending to be Spider-Man, but there was like a knitted ridge across his face where the mask was supposed to come off. Like it was just sort of cheesy, but it was like maybe late 70s, early 80s. But yeah, now we have everything that we could want.
Absolutely.
I really do dig it. I think they've done a great job.
Golden Age.
So now we're gonna I'm going to tell you why you should keep listening.
Your kids don't know how good you've got it.
All right, I'm going to just roll on what I was saying, because this really is the same thing. It's my message to y'all, is you don't know how good you got it with this golden age. we say a lot. Don't jump on and just review bomb stuff. Go check it out. If you've not watched Wonder Man, watch Wonder Man. It's a great show. It's a whole different level. If you loved Loki, you might have a little trouble getting into it because it's not as big and open at first. You know, there's no cosmic level crap happening right away, but the smaller story really carries it. So my thing is, don't discount Wonder Man because it doesn't start off with explosions and aliens. Really watch it. And I forget the actor's name. I looked him up and now I can't think of it. The guy who plays Wonder Man is awesome. And Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery, I love him every time they bring him back in. And I love that they keep bringing him back into the movies. He was in Shang-Chi. He just shows up randomly and I love it. That's my message.
Yeah, I agree. This is watch these Disney Plus shows. We want them to continue. I know it might have felt, kind of similar to how we felt in the early 90s, like where it was this glut. We had too much of a good thing. But then that if we just ignore it and think, oh, it'll be there later, that's not going to happen. If they don't get the viewership, if they don't get the numbers, you're going to see that drop off. And I know we had a bit of that with the Disney Plus shows because, oh man, I was thinking about this. Like we had like 4 shows. In 2023, there was only one Disney Plus TV show, and because the numbers had dropped off, and maybe it was just too much of a good thing. But hey, let's keep that going. What's that?
Yeah. 2021 showed WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye.
Yeah.
All of those came out. And then in 22, we had Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, and She-Hulk. But then in 23, it was just Secret Invasion. But we've already talked a little bit about that. We'll talk more in a minute. And then Echo and now Wonder Man. So they've slowed down. In 21 and 22, they put out multiple series.
Yeah.
And some of those had multiple seasons. Hawkeye had 2 seasons. WandaVision had at least 2.
Not yet. The Vision Quest is coming out this year.
Oh, Vision Quest is coming.
Yeah. So watch these shows, give them a chance. Don't listen to bad or negative reviews without giving it your own chance first. Don't assume, don't read that review and think, I'm not going to give it a chance. Please do give it a chance.
All right, now
It's critical hits and epic fails.
All right. So my critical hit is right where my basement treasure left off, which is the She-Hulk. I almost used WandaVision just because I love that show, but I think that got plenty of love. The She-Hulk got a bit of review bombing that occurred because people just didn't understand it because it was unique. But it's so much fun. It's such a fun show, and it deserves another season, and we deserve some more of this version of She-Hulk. That actress, Tatiana Maslany is amazing as an actress in general. And then we also got The Abomination from Edward Norton Incredible Hulk movie. So that was great that that's part of the canon.
Tim Roth, right?
What's that? Tim Roth. Yeah,
Tim
he's
Roth,
awesome as that. And then we get all these minor characters in this scene, the Man-Bull and the Saracen vampire and the porcupine who's like stuck in his costume so long that when he takes off his mask, it stinks so bad. like it's so full of great comic moments. And Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk is in the like bookends of it in the beginning and the end of the season. It's a great, fun show. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and that's the point. So my critical hit, She-Hulk. If you haven't given it a chance yet, please go and watch it.
Yeah, I usually will just talk about yours, and I'm definitely going to echo that. But and I know we don't always have one of each, but I do have a hit, and it's actually in this list that I was helped generate it. But Loki, we talked about it. You used it against me in Geek Court to great avail. But the end of season 2, the way Loki ends, as much as I've been bummed about a show ending, was such a satisfying ending. And that to me is the critical hit. I always liked Tom Hiddleston as Loki. He was always fun to watch, but I think he and the character evolved. We've talked about how much I love great character arcs. His character change from the beginning of season 1 all the way through to the end of season 2. We talked character arcs for Game of Thrones in the last episode. This to me would be a character arc that defines both an actor and a character, right? If you've not watched Loki season 1 and 2, it's phenomenal TV. I think it does everything you want a show to do. It weaves in the stories. It tells like we said, Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston together are great. All the actors are great. But yeah, that's my hit. And I know we both have probably the same fail, maybe.
But
I'll do mine.
okay, go ahead.
It was the end of Secret Invasion.
Nope, not the same.
Oh,
Okay,
so
go ahead.
I love Emilia Clarke. I love her in everything. She was great in Game of Thrones. I've watched videos of, I've seen her on clips on social media. She seems like a fun person. She seems like, she's one of those, and I hope she is, because sometimes you meet people and you realize they're not who they appear to be, but she just seems like she's always such a happy person. So when she showed up in a Marvel show, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. She did great in Star Wars, so let's have her in Marvel too. But I think they made the character that she becomes is so bizarre to me that one little injection makes her like this ultimate amalgam of every superhero. And I think it was overcooked. If you've not seen it, go watch it. It's still a good show. I wasn't happy with that particular ending. So what's yours?
For me, it's not, and I know technically it should be just Marvel TV, but it does impact it. So WandaVision is such a great show, and at the end of it, she realizes, wait, I'm the villain here? I'm doing the wrong thing, and comes to this cathartic moment where she recognizes the loss of her kids, the vision, the story she wants to tell of herself, and her happy, like she's letting go of all of that and recognizes and comes around on things so that she's not the villain. And then in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, it's like that never occurred. So it kind of erases the TV show moment where she's not a villain. And it's kind of reminds me of Emilia Clarke. We're talking about Emilia Clarke, and we talked about this with Game of Thrones, where she becomes the mad Daenerys becomes the mad queen. Well, they do this with Scarlet Witch. Like all of a sudden she goes from being like, oh, you're right, I'm doing this the wrong way, let me change, to, no, I'm insane again. I'm just crazy. I'm just going to kill people get whatever I want. And it doesn't matter who I trample or what happens. And the writer of Multiverse of Madness admitted he did not read the WandaVision script. So he, like, this is huge disconnect.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy.
It's funny because it does feel like they put a Band-Aid over it at the beginning, because WandaVision ends with her off in the world with the Darkhold. You see her having coffee, but her Scarlet Witch self is on the astral plane studying the book. And they keep alluding to this fact that the book will corrupt. So it's the only tenuous tie that she read the book more and became more evil for reading, which doesn't really do a great job of promoting reading, but it's certainly, I agree. It was definitely jarring because it's not like you see a journey. It's literally the same kind of thing. Like you just said, just a badang. Now I'm bad. But as always, we're wrapping up our time. So, originalgeekpodcast.com. Check out the merch. Our Bunker Geek teas are out there. I'm going to try to get out a couple more. We did a Game of Thrones episode, Marvel. We'll see. Maybe we can drop a couple more. We have some from the past episodes. But check us out on all social media. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We can download the podcast from anywhere that you get your podcasts. And otherwise,
She-Hulk, smash that like button. Oh, geez.
I like it.